EBRAINS provides access to a huge variety of neuroscience data from a great many sources, formats and modalities. When you access these data through EBRAINS services, we want you to be assured of their high quality and their responsible and ethical collection. A great many of these datasets were collected from non-human animal subjects, mice, rats, non-human primates. These research subjects are living creatures, and any data collected from them should be done so responsibly, ethically, and in compliance with the law. When we think about how scientists should handle data generated from experiments conducted on animals, we must acknowledge that it's a sensitive and much contested issue. We want to ensure that animal subjects are treated humanely, and that any suffering they might experience is kept to an absolute minimum. We also must understand that the perception of animals in science is not a fixed issue, and has indeed changed over time and place. Consider how we might treat a mouse compared to a dog, or an insect compared to a primate. The perception of animals in scientific research varies between countries, cultures, and of course between individuals. That's why it's important that data shared through EBRAINS services is collected in a manner which complies with local and internationally accepted animal welfare standards. We will detail the requirements that we expect of our animal data providers in this video, and we will signpost to further resources at the end and in the supporting material. EBRAINS is based in Europe, and as such we require that our animal data meets the requirements in the EU Directive 2010/63/EU on the protection of animals used for scientific research. This directive sets forth a range of provisions related to the collection of data from non-human animal subjects. It lays down minimum standards for housing and care, regulates the suffering of animals through a systematic project evaluation requiring inter alia assessment of pain, suffering and distress and lasting harm caused to the animals. Broadly, the directive and subsequently the EBRAINS data provision requirements for animal data are based upon the principles of the 3 R's. That is, replace, reduce and refine. For replace, wherever possible, the researcher should seek to replace living animal subjects with non-animal subjects. Consider here methods such as simulation or the secondary use of data. Reduce, wherever possible, the researcher should collect the same amount of data from a smaller population of animal subjects, or more data from the same size sample of animal subjects. And finally, refine. The researcher should always use the most up-to-date methods so as to ensure that any harm inflicted upon the animal subjects is kept to an absolute minimum possible. Additionally, EBRAINS also expects that researchers should consider another R, that is redundancy. Researchers seek to ensure that they are not unnecessarily repeating work on animal subjects where no additional scientific value is generated. As part of the EBRAINS ethics compliance check, we ask a few simple questions to make sure that we can responsibly share your data with the EBRAINS community. It's important to note, this is not an ethics review. EBRAINS can't give you ethics approval to conduct your work in the first place, and we're not a replacement for your local approvals. We simply ask for evidence that you've obtained approval from your local ethics authority. This could be your university, hospital, or your local research ethics committee. We also ask for a small amount of information, such as the country where the data was collected, when the ethics approval was given and when it expires, and any approval ID numbers you might have. For research conducted outside the European Union, we also require that confirmation that the research could have been legally conducted within the EU. This means that it complies with the Directive 2010/63/EU, as we discussed earlier, and that the treatment of the animal subjects meets the 3 R requirements. We ask all these questions because we need to be assured that we can legally, responsibly, and ethically share the data on our platforms. By paying close attention to responsibly sharing data on EBRAINS platforms, we believe that we can promote a higher quality of research and encourage and support responsible research and innovation.